Hi there. Welcome to Best of Preps with the Herald Review. I'm managing editor Matt Hickman, joined as always by Bruce Wetton. We have a lot of sports to talk about, especially football, getting toward playoff time here, really getting into crunch time. So we'll start talking about that. But first, we want to talk about the Buena girls flag football team. They're doing pretty well for themselves. What's the update there, Bruce?
Phenomenal first year. They played again on Tuesday night against Vista Grande out of Casa Grande, and they beat them 45-0. This team in its first year, Matt, is 8-2. 8-2 in your first year.
Well, there's a lot of first year teams out there.
Second year, second place in the 5A Sonoran behind Casa Grande, who gave them their second loss last week. And they're at home again on Thursday against Marana Mountain View. And they got 3 games left against. Ironically, they have back-to-back games against Miranda Mountain View at home and away, and then they're going to play Casa Grande again at home on the 5th, and before wrapping up at La Jolla High School in Phoenix. So they got 4 games left, so they're cruising right now. But great first year.
And do they have any sort of postseason this season?
Yes, they will. They do qualify for postseason, and again, it's a 16-team tournament, and that begins on the 15th.
Okay, great. Well, let's move on then to the tackle football team. The win, they got a big win on homecoming, 70-0 last week against Desert View.
I'm so glad those 4 homecomings are over.
4 homecomings on one night. That was a lot. But now Buena hits the road to play the number 1 team in the state in 5A, also the number 1 ranked team in the open class. That would be the Marana Tigers.
This is Buena's biggest challenge this year.
Yeah, it's more than a challenge. I mean, it's going to be, one thing that was really, they're really going to have to be able to run the ball with Scrappy Bonilla, who's leading the region and rushing with 812 yards, I believe. Michael Lujan, they've talked about that. If Buena's going to stay in this game, they're really going to have to run the ball, control the clock, and keep that Marana offense on the sideline.
Well, is to see a 70-0 score, I was surprised by that. Was Desert View just that bad, or was Buena just...
Buena was trying really hard to put up a number, and they were really trying to get to 42 before halftime to get the running clock going. Mm-hmm. They were doing back-to-back onside kicks after scoring touchdowns to go up 21-0, 28-0. They're doing onside kicks. With that 40, and back in the day, that might have been looked at as running the score up. But you want to get to that 42.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, what I understand now is they play the first half to get to that mark, and then the second half they call off the dogs. And,
So it's a little bit different than it might have been years ago. But anyway, Buena going. I mean, this is obviously for battle for first place in the 5A Southern region. Marana really hard to beat. Marana, I was surprised they only put up 26, 27 points against Casa Grande last week. You don't know how. Maybe they kind of played it vanilla when they got a lead, but this is one that I think Buena, they lost 55-0 at home last year, which was kind of a surprise. There's no surprises this year. Everybody knows how good Marana is.
Well, they beat South Point.
Yeah, I mean, Buena's going to have to play a perfect game, and they're not. And it's not even then. They're going to have to control the clock and get a couple bounces to go their way, but they've got to control the clock.
Well, how do you win games? You control the ball, and you keep the other team's offense off the field.
It's the only way. But I do think in this one, Buena. So we are making a pick here. I'm going to say I'm going to go ahead and set the line on this one at Marana by 32. I think I see a game where it could be a final score of something like 72-38, something. I think Buena will score their points, but if Buena starts getting into shootout, their defense is going to be playing on roller skates.
The thing is, Buena can still lose this game and not really be impacted in the playoffs because who they're playing.
Right. I mean, they are ranked number 10 right now.
Yeah.
Top 16 go. Even if they lose that game, as long as they take care of business against Sunnyside and Cienega.
Which they should.
But I don't think Joe Thomas has ever beaten Cienega in his 10 years here, from what I understand, what he told me. So I don't know. So if they can take care of that, they should still have a home game for the first round of state, which would be a huge step forward for the program.
November 15th, Friday, November 15th is the first round of the state playoffs, so we'll find out. So I would sure love to have an upset Friday night, but I don't think we're going to.
Yeah. Well, I would say let's jump ahead to a team that's pretty much punched its ticket to state. The one team that we can say for certain is going to the state playoffs, and that would be the Bisbee Pumas.
Oh, man, what a sweet ride it's been for those guys. I was there in Bisbee Friday night watching them play Tanco Verde. Mm-hmm. And this is probably the 3rd or 4th time I've seen this team play this year, and I'll be seeing them again play this Friday night when they go to Tombstone. This Bisbee team is for real, folks. They are for real. They're loaded, but they also said goodbye to 16 seniors Friday night, Matt.
Mm-hmm. So this is it. This is their big stand.
Douglas is crying after losing the pick, and it's like, Douglas, you're going to get your chances next year because Sebastian's gone, Miles is gone, Horacio's gone.
We'll see. I mean, we got a lot of season left to play here. So they got Tombstone. I mean, they've had some tough games. Tombstone is one where they should be heavily favored. But Tombstone could do some.
Tombstone got them last year at Bisbee though. So, and this Tombstone Bisbee game is much like the Bisbee Douglas game. It's another rivalry. The fans do not like each other. I found that out last year. I actually felt safer in the end zone between the two teams rather than I did on either side because of the sparring that was going on.
Nice.
But yeah, we're going to be in Tombstone Friday night. But Bisbee's just so loaded. They are just so loaded right now. And Sebastian is he's approaching 2,000 yards passing, and he's real close to 1,000 yards rushing. So he's having the numbers. He's putting up the numbers we expected. But the neat thing about this game with Tankerverde, it was back and forth. And with 11 seconds to go in the first half, Tankerverde scores to tie the game at 14-14. So they kick off to Bisbee. Hunter Wright receives the kickoff, and he starts running. Then all of a sudden he does a reverse handoff to Sebastian Lopez, who takes it around the left-hand side. And this is what I thought was so sweet. He ran it up the Tankerverde side of the field, 96 yards for a touchdown, right in front of the coaches. And I kid you not, I saw this Tankerverde coach just slamming his book down on the turf. And it was like, there goes Sebastian.
Yeah, he's a lot to deal with his arm and his legs.
It was a 21-14 lead at half, and they just cruised from there, and they won convincingly.
Let's look ahead to this one. Let's put a little point spread on this one. What does Tombstone have to do to have a shot in this one, and what would you say the final?
Play a perfect game.
Yeah.
DJ has to step up, and DJ has not been having the season that we thought he would have this year. He's been a little distracted. I think he'll be focused for here. But I still say Bisbee by 17.
17, you're putting it at. Okay, I can see that. I think it's going to be. I think they're going to play him tough, and I think that'll be a good test for Bisbee.
It'll be senior night in Tombstone though too at Hayhurst Field. So, you got to consider that 12th man. I will say this: the thing that was kind of disappointing for the big game last week, the Bisbee fans don't support this team the way they should because those bleachers. They were only half full last week, if at best.
Well, the thing about Bisbee is, the bleachers are kind of old and rickety and lame, and they're meant for baseball venue. But what's kind of cool about Bisbee is everybody running around in the end zones, all the kids and the families. It's just madhouse down there.
No, it was a nice atmosphere, and I was happy for the seniors. But I just, this was a huge game. Bisbee has not won a regional title in football since 1963, and that was the year they won state in football. And they haven't won it yet, but they got the tiebreakers. Everything's set up. They got 2 games to win one, and if they could just win either this week or next week in their finale, then they're going to be set as region champs. And more than likely, they're going to host a first-round play.
Possibly host two first and second round games.
Could be.
If they can get up to a top 4, potentially. They're number 6 right now. But the biggest game with the most stakes, probably, as far as state qualifying in the county Friday night, has got to be out in Benson. We've got the rivalry game. What's the name of that trophy they play?
Sine Lohan. And I know I butchered it, but the Sine Lohan Trophy.
So not only they're playing for the trophy, but right now you got Wilcox at number 11 in the rankings, Benson at number 15, 16 go. A loss would be devastating for Benson's chances. A win, and both, Wilcox would come back to the pack some, Benson would go up some, but it would be interesting to see what happens.
The winner, I say, goes as a number 2 team from the region. The loser has to hope, because even though they're ranked right now, where as of Monday, because Benson's right at 16, Wilcox was at 11, Bisbee's at 6. So Benson loses, they're going to drop out of the top 16.
Right.
If they win, they'll jump up, and I see Wilcox still staying in the top 16, but probably dropping down to 13 or 14.
So if Wilcox loses, they could still probably get in. Benson can't stand a loss here.
This is a must-win
game for Benson.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, you've seen both teams play. I've only seen Benson play in person a couple times. Very, hard-nosed, gritty team. Quarterback really competes. Really is a leader on that team. Well coached. What do you see? What do you see? Wilcox, Benson. Who do you like?
I like Wilcox.
Okay.
For the second year in a row, they won the trophy last year for the first time. But the most intriguing thing about this matchup, you got 2 coaches that have never played in the series before. Their first-year coaches for Benson and Wilcox, and they're going to get indoctrinated Friday night because this will be another Bisbee Douglas crowd. It's going to be packed at Benson. It's going to be electric. I believe it's senior night at Benson as well. And in fact, I know it is senior night now that I say that. And it's going to be a very energized atmosphere. And but I give the edge to Wilcox just based on what I've seen from Wilcox because, you know, Bisbee beat Benson by 3.
Mm-hmm.
Bisbee beat Wilcox by 2.
Yeah, I mean, they were both really just hard fought, evenly fought games all the way. I get the feeling Wilcox might try to expand the field a little more. They have more speed on the outside, you suppose?
Well, Landon Ward is 7 yards shy of 1,000, but then again, Flint Davis is 96 yards shy of 1,000.
I mean, Wilcox or Benson likes to keep it between the tackles. They like 3 yards, cloud of dust, real old-fashioned kind of football. Also, they do a lot from the shotgun with Dawson Judd running around and throwing it.
Benson's more of a dual threat, whereas Wilcox is just a run dynamic.
Okay, that's interesting to point out. I actually I've seen home games at Benson. I think they have a great home field advantage. I think they have so much to play for, and the coach has really got that team fired up. Chris Rasmussen in his first year. I'm going to go ahead and pick Benson. I think it's the first time we've ever disagreed about who's going to win.
That's why they play the game.
So I guess we'll call the line a pick 'em.
Yep.
And there you go. So there you go. Tight one out there. What else we got going on?
I want to give a shout out to the St. David Tigers.
Yeah.
They're in the postseason, folks.
How about that?
3rd year in a row. And they took care of a first-year school called Tucson Desert Christian. The school's been around for years, but this is their first year playing football. And St. David won, and they won handily enough to be awarded the top 4 seed. And in this 1A division, only 12 teams get in. So 1 through 4 get byes. 8 through 12 play each other, or 5 through 12 play each other, excuse me. And so they're going to play first round games this week, whereas St. David's got a week off to rest, get ready, and then they're going to come back next week and host a team from this weekend's games. And so the Tigers are marching, but ahead of the Tigers in the top 3, Baghdad, defending state champions. Mogollon, who lost to Baghdad and beat St. David by 30. And then you got, no, I take it back. Hayden's number 1, Baghdad's number 2, and Mogollon's number 3. And Hayden thumped Mogollon, who thumped St. David. I like St. David. I just don't think they're a semifinal team. I think they're a quarterfinal team. They'll get out of the quarterfinals, and they may lose in the semis. But then again, that's why you play the game. But yeah, we got St. David playing next Friday night. They got a bye week this week. Probably the most unfortunate story of the season right now is the Douglas Bulldogs. This team went 0-4, and now they're 4-0 in conference. And they could win the region and not even make state, because I confirmed with the coach Friday night after his 41-3 win over Rio Rico at Rio Rico that because of where they are in the power rankings right now.
They're at numbers 23 to get 16. They need
get in
5 index points. That's
and they got 2 games left against Rincon.
That's too much.
And Sarita. At Sarita. Rincon they're going to beat next week. Sarita will be for the conference championship. But we're trying to research the last time Douglas won a football championship, and it's been a while. And so they're still playing for the championship, even though they probably won't make the postseason.
Yeah, so no automatic berth for winning your region.
No, so that's really unfortunate because this team is a team you don't want to be playing right now.
Right.
They're
Well, this raises a question. I mean, obviously they would never stop playing the Bisbee-Douglas rivalry. It's obviously a big part of the community, great fundraiser and all that. But how much does that hurt Douglas in the rest of the season?
Bisbee gets more points on what Douglas is doing now than what Bisbee's doing for Douglas.
Right.
Yeah. I can't see them. They'll still play the game because it's just the game itself. It's just the significance.
Yeah.
But I just cannot see them stopping.
No, I can't see them stopping it either. But I wonder. So, when they compute this, do they act like the Bisbee game never even occurred? And then
we have to talk to AIA.
Let's look into that. Let's ask them if they changed the divisor, because I know last year when Buena played, Catalina Foothills almost lost, but they won. That wouldn't have counted either against them because they were a 4A.
Well, I can reach out to Seth Polanski at the AIA.
I'm curious about that.
Yeah. The other team we have qualified for the state playoffs for the second straight year is the Marine Academy Eagles.
Oh, that's exciting.
They moved up to Division III. They went up to Imagine Superstition this past week and left with a 51-8 win. They're off again this week because of quirky schedule, and they come back and play next Friday at home against a team they beat last year in the Division I state semifinals, Western Side Tech. I see Berrien winning that one. And then when I talked to Jalen Hampton last week, he still says he doesn't know if it's going to be a 4-team or a 16 playoff. If it's a 4-team playoff, they'll go in as a 4 seed. They'll be on the road. If it's a 16 playoff, they could be as high as a three seed and host a first round game.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens with them. So, Marine's headed to the playoffs. St. David is in the playoffs. Bisbee and Buena, Wilcox and Benson are jockeying for the playoffs, and I guess we might want to throw in Tombstone as
Tombstone's
well.
got a shot. I mean, let's take a look. Let's go back to that real quick. Tombstone needs. They are at number 23, just like Douglas. They're a lot
this win
closer
Friday night
in index.
Would be huge for them
because I mean they trail number 16 Benson by only 2 index points, which is far less than the 6 that Douglas is trailing. Like they can make a win over Bisbee would be huge for their chances to jump it. That and a little help. I wouldn't count out Tombstone.
No, and I think the fact is again it is at home. If Bisbee should lose this game, they're going to wrap up the regular season against Santa Rita, who hasn't won any games, and it's been a rough year for them. So, like I said, they got 2 games to win 1, and 1's a clinching number. But I think they'd rather get it clinched this week and get it done with. But I'm sure Tombstone's going to have a lot to say about that.
Yeah, it should be a really interesting one to watch. I think that about covers it for us. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Matt. He's Bruce. Get out to some football games Friday night and keep reading the Herald Review.